Good morning.
Good morning, good morning. Lovely Our Beauty Equilibrium podcast family coming to you live from Los Angeles, California, episode 301. Oh my God, we've been doing this a little too long. We have these beautiful ladies here today, and I'm going to let Shima introduce them.
Today we have with us Artist Management and TCA collab. I just want to say that this is something that is much needed for us as artists and in this community that we so often talk about in this industry. We talk about the vision of seeing representation across all genres all of the time, in especially our professional fields. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our Beauty Equilibrium podcast. Val Harvey and Kasia Smith. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you. Now, I want to give the audience a chance to know you personally, so if you could, please tell us a little bit about yourselves. Thank you.
Okay. I'm Kasia Smith. I am a hair makeup artist, so I have kind of set that aside to become an agent. I last year opened Artist Management by TCA with my beautiful partner Val. We opened our doors to developing artists, to artists that were established, and basically anybody who wants to come on board and grow. We have a beautiful agency that deals in all facets hair makeup. We are trying to take over all the industries, film, TV, commercial, fashion, the whole nine. But we also have an element of education, which is dear to my heart. Part of the vision or the reason why I decided to go up to the next level was because I've been working with the Handy Foundation and the NAACP on a program since 2022. And I realized that we were still hitting a lot of ceilings. There was still a lot of places that we didn't have access to. And in my mind, the best next solution was to become representation so I could get people in the rooms that they're so desperately trying to get into.
Yeah, I think we're really trying to circumvent all of the barriers and pitfalls that we went through trying to navigate the industry, especially early on when it wasn't a more welcoming place. I think we've had a lot of things happen like BLM and like raising awareness to the fact that there are still so many problematic areas in the film and TV and fashion industries where they're gatekeepers that will not allow us to pass through, even though we're so essential to the process. You know, we talk to a lot of people who are in the film and TV industries, and they are definitely like, you know, I'm having to do my own makeup for this. I'm having to do my own hair for this. And they get treated, you know, an extra on set will get, you know, more fussing and more attention and more know-how than the actual talent because they just don't have anybody. But then you get to the place where you're like, well, how can we get in? How can we make an inroad? And they say that we're not qualified. You know what I mean? And that's like the big thing. And the metric is that, you know, it's got to be by merit and it's got to be by, you know-how, and you have to know. And like, we don't want to get unqualified people in here when they in fact are not qualified to do the job.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we're really committed to changing the face of the entertainment industry, changing the face of people who are behind the scene too, so that it is more reflective, I should say, of the talent in front, and just, you know, what the worldview looks like.
I appreciate that. And also, just from a knowledge standpoint, a lot of people don't know, like you mentioned, that that's what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And behind the scenes is where you actually have the talent who may be affected or even being listed as being difficult to work with. You know what I mean? So those are some of the narratives that are absolutely present in those spaces. Let's talk about the intersection of gaining access to these wonderful things that you're talking about, and also the professionals. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that drove me back to education in the first place was just because I realized that I was the only one who looked like me on set. And so constantly walking into these spaces where they're creating dynamic stories. They're creating stories that encompass all different types of backgrounds and lives, but when you walk on set, everybody is still other. There's nobody that represents that dynamic actually behind the scenes helping to discover the story. So when I went to go try to bring people on, I realized that it is very blocked off. But not only is it blocked off, is they hold us to a different standard while not giving us the education or information that we need. Like, we talk about it a lot, but textured hair was not a priority for cosmetology schools. Like, it wasn't required for them to get certified, and we're looking at a potential backlog. Like, people are they finally got it, and now they're potentially taking it out of schools again. And so how do you bridge that gap of educating people so they know how to decide their rates, how to show up on set, what to bring on set, where to go, and what to talk. Like, the questions become almost surmountable. Like, they become so much, and so for us, we were like, well, let's get people the knowledge. Let's get people the information first, so that they feel equipped and they feel like they understand what they're up against, and then let's guide them so that they don't feel like they're doing it alone. Like we talked a little bit before we started, and part of the thing is most people don't know that everybody's kind of going through the same thing.
Right.
And so until you network, but we weren't given communities, so we have to build them. Things like this, where we're coming on podcasts and talking about it and holding the conversations. Most people are afraid to do that because the industry said we couldn't speak on it.
Yeah, I mean, the industry, amongst other places where and entities looming that are saying that, not only is it not important to learn and have this education, but you can really get away with not knowing. You know what I mean? And keeping it the same as it always is. And that's kind of part of what we're doing as well with education. Like, we want to be able to have a metric system where there's not only just the education there, but there's also a way to prove that you have the knowledge and the know-how to do it. You know what I mean? Because like, for so long, people are just like navigating these spaces, they're taking credit, they're doing all these things, and they're just not able to serve the talent in the proper way. And so it's like, no, this has gone on for too long. You say that you're qualified. Well, why don't you prove it? Where is your certificate? Where is your education coming from? Why don't you prove that you're qualified to do the job that you say that I'm not allowed to be in the room to do?
Right.
Yeah, it's layers to it, and I just have a question, and this is a question for the audience, but also for you ladies. Should the standard be that everybody knows how to do everybody's hair? Should
I
that be
think
the professional
so.
standard?
I think so, because at the end of the day, not just people of color have textured hair. So many, there's a range of colors of people who have textured hair. And so I run into people who are of a lot of different ethnicities that are like, I don't know where to get my hair done, because the training has only been required since 2024. You know what I mean? And so it just doesn't serve us, it serves everybody. So I don't know how they've been getting away with it for as long as they have, not being able to do hair that has any sort of curl or texture to it, because the majority of the population, something like in the 70s or 80% of the population, has some sort of texture to their hair.
Right.
I personally flip-flop about it. Like, even as you're asking and she's talking, like, I do see the merit in everybody having the same basic knowledge. But when you look at the culture of braiding, take braiding specifically, like, there are layers to how braiders learn and what they develop in the schools, the skills that they develop. It is really hard to say that everybody who does hair is going to learn those skill sets. I think that more importantly than just the idea of everybody being able to do everything is that we give credit to the people who actually do those things and have specialties in those areas. Even in a hair salon, right? And in a hair salon, you have the colorist, the person who masters color,
Right,
and they're
right.
so good at color. Even though everybody else does color, somebody else is a better cutter. Like they're aficionado at pixie cuts.
Right.
And so you're gonna want that specialist if you're on set or anywhere to be the person who does your pixie cut. Now, should everybody have a basic knowledge of it? Yes. But does everybody need to have or be trained exactly the same? I think then we lose our creative edge, especially as people of color, right? Like you look at people who producers will absolutely say, "Oh, I can send you to this course, and you're going to be able to do it." We see it in they send them to the braiders. The braiders never get credit for that. The person completely leaves, production pays for it. They say, go off and do your own thing. But now you're saying, okay, well, we can pay for a course for you to learn how to braid hair. That makes all the black barbers that are already, or black braiders that are out there obsolete. And for just basic training. And
Right.
so now they have this perception that, oh, we're all the same. And no, no, we're not.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
right.
we're not training our replacements in essence. I don't think that we're doing that at all. I think that on a level of like, it's kind of like speaking a language. You know what I mean? Like you can learn a language and you can be fluent in it. And you can be
Right.
from the country and you can, you know what I mean? And so in a certain respect, like, you know, I think it's kind of shameful that, you know, beauty salons and barbershops are so segregated. You
Right,
know what I
right.
mean? Like, I should be able to walk in and be able to, like, at least it doesn't necessarily mean that every single person in the barber shop or in the beauty salon knows how to do braids or a certain thing, just kind of like, you know, with, you know, colorists and cutters and people who are specialty driven in certain things. It's more like, can I walk into the salon and find anybody
Right.
who
right.
can do something for me, because
Facts.
that's really how it's been navigated. It's like when I can remember walking into a salon and wanting to get hair extensions because I found out about this new fun, you know, Great Lengths thing like in the early 2000s, and they're just like, oh, we're not gonna do
Right.
you, or like trying to take my
Right,
little
right.
brother to get a haircut in like a weird area because we're, you know, out of town, and they're like, no,
Right.
that should
right.
be not a thing.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? There should be
Absolutely.
someone there, or you should have the resources, because the thing I think that we run into a lot too is people being like, well, we don't know anybody. Well, we don't know anybody. And it's like, they're just afraid to enter our spaces.
Yes.
You know what I
yes.
mean? And to really, because we got to go into their spaces all the time. We're
Right.
always the ones
All
that
the
are
time.
you know what I mean? And I'm like, and it's way scarier for us to go into those spaces, but they're terrified to like look into the places where there is a wealth of resources. And so we want to change that narrative and like provide the resources and give people a very, you know, at least a basic knowledge, so that you're not afraid, so that you're not embarrassing talent, so that you're not saying inappropriate things, so that you're
Right.
not, you're a lot more confident and open, or you're able to like even judge whether or not you can do it and need to bring somebody in to do something.
Right.
You
That's
know?
important. That's important. Now, we talked about the education and we talked about gaining access. Let's talk about the business of the industry. Negotiations, knowing how to scale, and more importantly, knowing how to ask for what you're worth. You know what I mean? So let's talk about that
Get into
aspect.
that bag.
Right. right. Exactly.
I need the money. Go ahead, ladies.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I always say I've made more money saying no than I have saying yes in this industry, because
Oh, wow.
at the end of the day, like, you have to like understand, like, how am I going to be scheduling my day so that I can make the most amount of money? So if I like stack it a certain way, you know what I mean? I'm not getting my value for that day. So sometimes you have to say no and trust that, you know, what is really for you is going to come around, or that your value will be elevated in the right space. You know what I mean? You can't just bank on this one thing. Oh, well, I'm going to get this job and I have to take this job because the job is there. No, like, you don't get so excited that you've got a job that you forget to get paid.
Absolutely.
I say.
There you go.
You know, ask
I
questions,
would
find
say,
out what
yeah,
is actually
yeah.
required of this job. Like, what are you actually needing me to do? like, do I need assistance doing it? And sometimes it might not be worth you taking the job. Sometimes you have to walk away from that scenario because your skill and your access is not honored in the situation.
I
I
totally
love
agree.
that. I love that.
I think part of it is building mentorship, like understanding. Too many people go at it alone. They get into the business and they think that they have to do it on their own. They have to figure it all out. And there are tons of people that are willing to help and to build a connection and to give you the knowledge and the information that you need. And you should be talking to people. What are you charging? How do you charge? What are your thought processes behind that? As a mentor, I have learned that my biggest hurdle isn't the talent. Like, people have the talent, but when I ask them what their talent is, they can't give me a sufficient answer or a quick enough answer. Like, as a business person, you should always know what it is that people are paying you for. And then once you can establish that, then you can start establishing your cost and what it is. But you should also be telling that. Like, numbers are a big thing for me. I go into each month, I plan exactly how much I want to make. I have to say no to anything over that because it's too much on my plate. And I start giving jobs to other people. But that came with a lot of like understanding what the numbers were. This is how much my household runs off of. This is how much I need to make to break even. This is how much supplies are. And then being able to confidently, when I ask people or when they say, well, what's your rate? Well, first of all, I always tell, don't answer until you ask them what their budget is.
Right,
Because
right.
Wow,
that is
that
how
is-
most people get tricked, right? The
I love
production
that,
company,
yes.
especially people of color, a production company comes to you, they're like, hey, what's your rate? Like, fool, what you got?
Right.
Because I know you know those numbers. You
Right.
ain't coming to me without
Right,
a
right.
ballpark figure.
Right.
Give me your ballpark figure so I can figure out
Right.
whether or not the job is right. But if you don't understand your own numbers, most creatives have been taught, and I feel like it's somewhat intentional, that to be creative, you're just creative. You cannot be a business person.
Absolutely.
And so this has been over and over and over into people's heads. And so they don't feel like they can run a business. Even when you look at people who just first get shops, right? They're like, it's so mind-blowing to them, the things and the extent that they have to do in order to run a shop. And a lot of people fold. They fold on their first one because they didn't have the training or the expertise. They had an idea. But also with this idea, well, I'm a creative. Well, you can be a creative and still manage your money.
Yeah.
You can
Right.
be a
Yep.
creative and still set your rate. You can be a creative and still send that invoice.
Yep.
But you have to build systems around your creativity and understand who you are. Like, accountability and awareness is such a key to being a good business person. You got to know how the outside moves. You got to know how you're moving on the inside and how you affect people. And that absolutely raises your cost.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think
Yep.
too that like you need to understand that like this industry, especially like the one that we navigate in, is like I'm a freelancer, and so I have a responsibility to myself and my household to make as much money as I can on every single gig. You know what I mean? So like, do not lowball yourself. You know what I mean? And also like understand like planning ahead. Like I'll have people that'll try to book me, you know, like 6 months in advance, but it's like it's on a Saturday, it's midday, and it's a do and go. You know what I mean? Which is like less money. I'm like, well, what if somebody calls and wants me for the full day?
Right.
Do I want to book my time out that far in ahead? You know, like what if I have an expectation? So you kind of are like, well, I might have to charge you a day rate, actually,
Right.
because
Saturday,
you know
double
what I
rate.
mean? Exactly. Like you have to think about like, what could I be losing by lowering my standards that
Exactly.
day? You know what I mean? So always maintain the highest standard that you possibly can for the day. And if somebody doesn't want to pay, somebody will come and like fill that slot. Like I have a strong belief that the universe always fills in those spots when you stand up for like how much you're actually worth. So something else fills that space.
Respect. I love that.
I have a
Yes.
question about that in particular, that point, because I find that there's this idea that you should be grateful for just
Anything.
being in the room,
No.
like being in, especially when it comes to TV and you know, film.
Yeah.
It's almost like be grateful for just being here.
No.
So how do you I understand that, but how do you overcome that roadblock? It's a mental thing, but a lot of people are just happy. they don't even think about what you just said, the business. It's still a business. Like,
yeah, well, I mean,
you got to get paid.
Yeah, it's one of those things like you have to like really look at your time because a lot of these production sets they want you for 12 hours. And I'm like, okay, what could I be doing for 12 hours that would make me more money than just
Right.
standing around here?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like let me divide that by like what you're actually paying me and like, oh, it's only coming out to $20 an hour. I could go drive Uber Eats or something like,
Right.
you know, like so it's like, is my
1000%,
time really worth?
right.
So that's why I always say, don't be so excited that you got a job that you forget to get paid because
That's
it
a
is
great word.
actually worth it for me to be here. You know, somebody could call me for 1 hour of my time and pay
Right.
me as much as a production would for the whole day.
Yep.
Right.
Right.
And so it's about your time. That's really what it boils down to. It's not like being in certain rooms because I also say
Exactly.
like doing free or cheap work, like, you know, when they're like, oh, we'll give you referrals. Oh, it's a connection. You know what it connects you to? Other people who want who want you to do free or
That
cheap
po-
work.
Oh my God. That
So it's like,
Yes.
do I want to be in the room
Yes.
or in a space where I should appreciate being taken advantage of so that I can be exposed to more people that will take advantage of me?
And
You
that's
have
what
to
we-
walk away from things like that a lot of the times.
And that's our
Right.
labor force overall, right?
Right.
Is that we've been taught that we should be grateful for the jobs,
Yes.
and we should. We should be grateful for the things that we're blessed with and the ability that people want us to do our job, right? And to do what we're skilled at. I'm always grateful for whoever comes to me. That doesn't mean I'm going to take the job.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm grateful for you, but
I
I'm still
love
going
it.
to say no.
But I'm
And-
like, if it's gonna cost me money to be there, it's like I'm paying you to be here.
Absolutely.
Like when you
people need
think
to hear
about
this.
it. Yeah,
need to
it's
hear
like
this
no,
because
like if
that's
I'm here
a
for
perfect
12
point.
hours for like not that much money, it's like I'm paying you to be here because I'm losing money because I've blocked out that space for other opportunities.
Right.
So
Facts.
that's the way you have to start to think.
And that's
Yeah.
such a great concept, is because people will say, "Oh, you got to network, and this will lead to more work." But like you said, it'll lead to more
Bad work.
people to take advantage of you,
Exactly. It's got to be the right work.
because they're gonna say, "Oh, they do great work for cheap."
Cheap, yeah,
Yes.
and that's what they'll whisper. Oh, I got her for cheap.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to be
That's-
whispering. And you
That
don't
was
want
the
that.
setup. That
yeah.
was the that is
Right.
how business people stay in business. That's how corporations stay in business,
Right.
right? That's how
Right.
people get
Right.
over is that it is absolutely an ideology that we've been taught. And so there's certain things that you hear over and over again when you're talking to people. And you realize that's because that's kind of like Erica said, right? The bullshit you've been fed. Is
Yeah.
that it's like you continue to eat it because you want the experience.
Right.
And then sometimes it is worth it. Sometimes it is, you go to that set, you meet that great person takes you a lot of places. I did a lot of free work when I started.
Right.
I do not do any free work now.
I think we all do.
Right.
The only
Right.
time I do free work
I
is
feel
when
that.
it's
Right.
specifically
Yes.
attached to a charity that I promote or I feel like I want to give to. I'm working with Compton High. I'm not charging them, but I am making sure that like it's in the structure of my own dreams, or it
Right.
is in the structure of my own building, and so it makes sense for everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's ways to extract value from situations,
Mm-hmm.
even if you're not technically getting paid. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
and you have to go in and negotiate that beforehand. It's like, okay, well, what do you got going down the line? Can we like arrange for me to have this rate going forward on this gig? Like, you can like go in with guarantees. Like, always be negotiating for yourself and be thinking 3 steps ahead. And like, there's nothing wrong with being like, well, I will consider this, but only if it works for me, because there's no reason why you should be like working to enrich somebody else for free.
Right.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? Because
Right.
at the end of the day,
Yes, to be the
this
room.
like, why am I pouring into your personal project? Like, you're not my friend. I don't
Exactly,
know you.
exactly.
Right.
Like, why should I be so devoted to this project? It's your project. So if you want to get it done, then you need to like establish why I need to be there in a way that is valuable for me.
I think that's kind of one of the allures of that line of work, is just they're taking advantage of people's thirst and desire to just be included. That, like you said, you're willing to just take whatever they give you,
Yeah.
and that's something that needs to be stopped. You know, because you still need to get paid, you still need to pay all your bills,
Yeah.
and people are like, "Oh, this is Hollywood, or this is a TV show, or you should be glad to be
Or
here."
that's just
We got-
business.
Yeah. And
So-
people
and
respect
we'll
me
feed you.
more.
We'll feed you. We'll give you some water and some snacks. And it's like, really think about your money. And another thing I want to ask you about, because I've seen this a lot of times on set, is that when people with textured hair do come into the trailer, a lot of times they're like, "You're good to go.
Yep.
You look perfect.
They
Absolutely.
push them right out.
You're awesome."
Or we talk about like the
Yeah.
the teas where they come
Yeah.
in and they just put their hands in the hair and they go like this and then they go, "Oh, you look perfect."
It looks good to
Right.
me.
It
Right.
looks
Yeah.
great."
Looks good to
And
me.
I'm like, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
How do you address that? Because it trickles down to, at the end of the day, you're putting characters that are not necessarily on par with how we really are out here in the real world.
Yeah.
How do you
Um,
fix that?
for me, it's staffing. Like, I did 12 Lifetime movies in like 2 years. I made sure that my whole team was black, or like, or people of color. I made sure that everybody that I brought in, I put them on the call sheet as leads, so that way when they start their own career, one of them had the hours to go union. She decided not to, but she got the hours, and so you build channels and pathways. I've been working for the last couple of years to put people on set with each other, having these conversations, group text threads. What are you working for? Such and such approached me. They wanted to know what my rate is. What do you guys think is the rate? And then having whole groups of people say no to anything that's not that. Because if they know they can go to somebody else cheaper, they're going to try to go to somebody else cheaper.
Absolutely.
But if they know that everybody's kind of saying, nah, we good, then they'll come and they'll go, oh, wait, hold on. What was your rate again? What am I looking to pay you? But we, as people who get on set, like one of the things that I love about Jackie is that she always gives pathways, or she always gives pathways. She's like, hey, I'll bring these people on set, or I found this opportunity, let me plug you in, or let me tell you about what I'm doing. That's how we shift the narrative so that people understand their worth, what other people are charging, and then what to say no for. After a while, people stop knocking, right? Like, they'll be like, I can't find anybody for this rate. Maybe we should come to them at this rate instead, which is more comparable to what the others are making. And so, but they've already gotten that together. They were like, I have homies that are like, I will not leave the house for under 5,000. And I'm like, I don't even, it's so hard for me to even open my mouth and fix my mouth to charge 5,000 a day. But they're getting it. And
Right.
that's because they set the tone in that sphere, in that world of makeup and hair. And they're not backing down. If you ain't got it, you ain't got me.
Right,
Right.
right.
Yeah, and that's what the agency is for as well. Like, that is our whole aim and goal, is to get people who are actually qualified to do people with hair, and, that has texture, and to do makeup on people of color, because there is a lack, you know what I mean? And we feel like we are trying to fill in those spaces. We're filling it in with education. We're filling it in with actual bodies of qualified people, and that's our passion.
So with the representation and the education, what is the method to go from being educated and qualified to actually being on set, to being in those spaces? What helps with that transition? Like, once you get the education, once you know what you're doing, you may even know how to negotiate a little bit. What about the opportunities?
Go ahead.
From this experiment that I've been doing with the Handy Foundation, and then just as we've started out, mainly it's connection, is connecting people to people, and then they will start their own network and thread of bringing people on set. And so I took people, 50 at this point, through the course, and because they met each other, they go through the shared experience of 8 people or 10 people together, then they start calling each other, and they're the first line of who do we need when we on set. We have this job, they need 3 people. I'm gonna call my homegirl. Like, we just witnessed it literally for the Grammys. Is we had a class, we brought a ton of people in, we had people at different levels, and the instructor gave Val a call. We were in a meeting a couple days ago. She gives her a call and says, hey, I need a braider. Do you guys have somebody? That person was at the class, and so Val sent her over and said, hey, they did Miss Lauryn Hill, like
Mm.
for
Oh,
the
wow,
Grammys,
that's
and it
dope.
was just off of word, not word of mouth, but putting people in the same room together, establishing a relationship between them, setting up situations where everybody kind of connects, and then it begins to build. It begins to gain momentum. It begins to feed itself, and you have people who know that they can trust people, because really in our community, a lot of it is trust, right? We
Right.
don't know. We've had issues. We've been in situations where we didn't feel like we could rely on somebody else. So you rebuild that level of trust in between people, and then all of a sudden you have a system that pretty much feeds itself.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Right.
And I
Most-
think also it's when you show up for people in that way by giving them referrals, you build that network, but you also want to make sure that you're just making sure, oh my goodness, my thoughts are like, are escaping me. But no, like you also want to like build up the fact that like you have a social media presence, you want to have a website, you want to have a lot of things kind of in flow as well to show the value of your work. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
right.
because like, I mean, we are also in the business of developing artists, but like sometimes I'm like, you got to do me a favor by like, you know, have a photo shoot, you know, like produce your own photo shoots. Like
Right.
I've done that, you know what I mean? Where it's like, well, yeah, like I'm not necessarily like, you know, making sure that somebody else hires me for a photo shoot. I'm
Right.
putting together and I'm creating the work that I want to see.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm publishing that. And that is like linking me to other people because they're impressed with my work.
Like proof of concept.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly.
That's
I
dope.
think that's
That's
a big
dope.
thing because like you can make all the connections too, but a lot of the times it comes down to like, you know, in a snap somebody could be like, well, do you have a website?
Right.
Do you have an image? Do you have this? And it's like, well, I can
yeah.
do this, but I don't have any proof. So you do have to have proof of
Got it.
concept
Okay.
as you like fly through this industry. You have to be able to show that you know what to do, and presentation really, really matters. And I think like especially like a lot of people who are like work at home and things like that, it's like they just kind of get the word of mouth, you know, kind of like around the neighborhood. But it's like when you want to move to the next level, you have to like really think big. And you have to really think about presentation because that really matters because you're establishing value because you can make a lot of money, but you have to show that like you're worth the money that they want to pay.
Exactly, exactly. Tell us where we can find you because
Yes.
we will also link all of the links below. You guys,
Yes.
as you know, you'll go through this podcast and watch it over again, save the information, but tell them, let them know where they can find you guys right now on social media.
Well, I forgot to introduce myself in the beginning. But I'm Val Harvey. My own personal Instagram handle is Mohawk Makeup. I've been a makeup artist for over 20 years. Grew up in the Los Angeles area, from Panama though, always got to shout it out. Working with the beautiful Kesha Smith. We are Artist Management by TCA. So that's on Instagram at Artist Management X TCA. Oh wait, it's Artist MGMT X TCA.
There we
Right,
go.
right,
Okay.
right.
And that is also our website, www.artistmgmtxtca.com. So I hope you have it written down somewhere too.
Yeah.
I hope I didn't
Right.
confuse you all, but that's me. And then Kesh can go on.
And my handle is Kesha's World. .ii.
All right.
Because I got hacked, so I had
All
to
right.
do another one.
Right,
No
right.
problem. Well, thank you.
Lovely
Yes,
as
lady.
always.
I
wanna say thank you. I
think
Thank you
that's
so much for the info.
such great information you shared
Yes,
today.
thank you
really,
so
really
much,
appreciate
ladies.
that. That was
Thank
like
you.
amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Glad we could say
Yes.
something valuable.
Yes.
Yes.
And you already
Check
know.
them out.
Like, share, and subscribe.
It's free 99.
Make sure you check them out. I'll put all the links in this episode's description. Love y'all. See y'all next week.
Yeah, see y'all next week.
Thank
y'all.
you.
Thank you guys.
Thanks for having us. I'm sorry we didn't get to talk.